Yeah, you probably need to be on something. Uh, I know we needed medication. Jim Ross is going to be mocked by Ed Ferrara playing the Oklahoma character. Just poor taste, just classless, just not cool. Anything else to say about that?
I mean, you covered it rather than jumping on that train of thought. It's also what happens when you don't really have any good ideas.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
it's easy to make fun of someone. That's easy. It doesn't take any talent. Doesn't take any imagination to make fun of people. Zero. And I think that that was a real mirror into the creative horsepower of both Ed and Russo. Ed gets left out of the conversation a lot and probably deserves to because I think, I worked with Ed and I worked with Ed a little bit when I was thinking about coming back to WCW, or actually when they brought me back before it was announced. I was actually working backstage. I don't remember the date, so please don't ask me. But if I made my appearance in 2000, in let's say April, just taking a guess, um, I had probably been working for a month or 6 weeks behind the scenes without anybody knowing it, with Ed to try to get the house in order so that when I came back and the world knew it, I wasn't walking into a cold situation. I wanted to have a few things in place before I made my official return. So I worked with Ed a little bit there, and I enjoyed working with Ed on that level. Um, but I also worked with him and Russo in TNA for a moment or two, and Russo really dominated that team. He was 80% of the team, and I don't mean talent wise, but in terms of just dominating the room and consuming the oxygen in a meeting and all that. It was mostly Russo. But I think that that gimmick was so hard. It was desperate, and it was, I mean, it's just a reflection of lack of creativity. When you have to make, it's different if you're Saturday Night Live and everybody's tuning into the show, anticipating parody and that kind of humor because that's what that show is. But to do it on a wrestling show, particularly with somebody like Jim Ross, and you can say what you want. I mean, Jim and I had our own issues back then. Clearly not now. He's a good friend, but um, even when Bill Shaw, it was Bill Shaw's decision to let Jim go. I concurred with Bill. Bill did consult with me, but I did agree that it was better to let him go because of the situation. Not to digress too much, but Ross was when Bill Watts came in, Ross was right, he was attached at the hip. And Bill Watts got so much heat for so many different things that Jim got splattered with a lot of it.
Right.
And Jim was bitter. And I didn't see Jim pulling out of that. I really didn't. So when Jim said, "Hey, I've got a chance to go to WWE," and Ross was still under contract to WCW, and Bill Shaw came to me and said, "What should we do?" And I said, "Let him go. If he doesn't want to be here, he's miserable anyway, and he doesn't really want to be here. Why would you keep him here? Let him go." But even though I was I concurred with Bill or supported letting him go, Bill had a lot of fans. Or excuse me, Jim had a lot of fans in WCW,
Yes.
and to make fun of that guy, especially in that situation, stupid. This is stupid.
I agree. Agree. Let's talk about some other interesting ideas